everyone's just deeply saddened by this tragic loss.
5 children from 4 to 17 years old, attending every school from pre-K to high school. They grew up here and could often be seen playing in a neighbor's yard. It's no wonder their tragic and sudden loss has impacted so many in the school community in and around Cedar City.
My name is Tim Marriott. I am the Student Services Coordinator for the Iron County School District. Obviously, this has had a tremendous impact on our schools.
Right now on KSL Plus.
So understandably, our school community is still healing. They're a family down here. And so they're working to get back into a routine, but our teachers, our students are still struggling a little bit, and teachers are aware of that.
In the weeks following the tragic shooting in Enoch that killed 5 children.
We knew that they had counselors, and so the immediate need hopefully was being met. And that's why the conversation was more about what can we do long-term to support them, as things trail off, what can we do to make sure that students and teachers still have support that they need or tools that they need or just whatever we can do to help.
The school community continues to feel the impact.
So as much as they try to get back into a routine, teachers are aware and ready to maybe just pause for a moment and give some help where help is needed. And in addition, sometimes we're having to pause a minute and give our teachers a little bit of help too, because they're struggling as well. This is going to take a while.
Iron County School District has about 10,000 students across 18 schools. They said they will make those counselors available as long as they're needed.
I'm Matt Rascone, and this week my colleague and KSL Plus producer Eliza Pace talks to Shauna Lund about the efforts inside Iron County School District to help students and staff heal.
We know that our school community is still healing.
Plus, how a local organization's donation is helping them get there.
Okay, so the evening that we were made aware of the event that had taken place, we have a crisis intervention team. And so we met as a crisis intervention team to just kind of talk through what the next day was going to look like. And as part of that crisis intervention team, our counselors are part of that. And they are people who are trained in, helping with the needs that students, parents, the community, whoever might have in any sort of tragic event that can occur, and especially the death of a student. And so through a calling tree, all of the counselors in the school district and the mental health therapists were made aware of what had happened and given some kind of talking points and some things to consider for the next day. So all of that occurred the night before, and many of the teachers were made aware the night before, especially those closest to the students. And then the entire faculty was just asked to meet in the morning so they could, talk through things and just kind of be prepared for what was going to happen that next day. So that's the typical kind of thing that just happens. And talked a lot about, the potential that this had to have a big impact on the entire Iron County school community, because we knew it wasn't going to just be confined to one school or one area. And sometimes that happens with any incident. It may be more far-reaching than just the one school.
Sure. So when they address it in the classroom, are there any procedures that they follow to, talk about it in a way that obviously allows students to work through what they're feeling, but helps them to also heal?
Yes. So one of the things that's done is there's extra help mobilized to the schools that are impacted in a tragedy like this. And so we did that. We put extra help in some of those schools. And part of that help even is for teachers, because they're struggling too. These are individuals that they got to know on a personal level, and they feel very close to those students. And so those counselors and even administrators are there to help address a classroom when a teacher is struggling themselves, And so we mobilize those people to help with that. And one of the things that teachers are provided with is just some points, because it's difficult. in one area, they want them to be as normal as possible, but then understand that you're going to have students who are struggling. And so just some tips, such as just listening. Listen to what the student has to say, and to also help sometimes protect, because there are children that are going to be more upset than others. And you don't want another child maybe taunting that child because, they're showing some emotion. So, they go through some pointers of how to protect them, and also to be noticing a student that may be struggling more than other students, and to check in with them, make sure that they're doing okay just every once in a while. Let them know that there's somebody there, a caring adult who could help them. And then, maybe ask them if they want to go see a counselor and talk through some things. And so that's another part of that. And then just to teach that it's okay to be saddened. It's okay to show your grief. And even it's okay to not understand why this happened. And to show that, model the behavior that they too, as teachers, as adults, we don't understand either. And sometimes we're sad and we have a hard time expressing our grief as well. And so just some tips to help through that. As far as the healing process, it's really hard to say. Everybody is going to heal a little different. And so it's just being aware of the different types of students that you have in your classroom and the different types of grief that they're showing, and helping in that healing process. And, maybe some don't need a counselor. Some don't need to talk to someone else. Some do better just because they're around their peers, and that's where they talk through things. But then noticing those that maybe do need that little bit of extra help and getting them that help.
And I know you talked about having crisis teams at the school and obviously school counselors. Do you know how successful they've been, and have kids been taking advantage of having a crisis team there?
Definitely. We've had students going to the wellness rooms, students going to the counselor, speaking with them. We don't keep a record of how many students that is. I can tell you that at the one elementary school, we saw that being utilized a lot, and saw students, days later, still utilizing that help and getting that help that they need.
Talk to me a bit about the wellness rooms. Not a lot of people outside of education might be aware that they exist or what they are. So tell me a little bit about what these wellness rooms are and what they're for.
So they're kind of calming rooms. They'd have lighting and comfortable areas to sit in, and then some manipulatives, different things, books that students can read. And it's sometimes just a place to go and sit for a student to just kind of, get back to a good place where they can go back and learn. They're used in all different ways. And then there's specialists in those rooms that are there to talk to the student, help them with some things, talk to them about, what's going on, what are you feeling, those kinds of things. And they're just a great addition to schools because it just gives kids a place to go. I think sometimes we all need a place to go, even as adults. Sometimes we just need a place to go and get ourselves put back together. And so this gives them the opportunity to do that.
Way better than the girls' bathroom, which is what was always this when I was in school.
Yes.
So what a blessing in that way.
It could be they're struggling, due to issues at home. It could be that they're struggling with hunger. It could be just that they're just having a really bad day and need somewhere where they can go and cry or reset or get a little bit of support. It's basically a place where students can go to decompress or to reset themselves so that they can finish out their school day, finish out their work, get extra support that they might need. Because, so many students, we don't know what they're all struggling with, but there are a lot of students who struggle with various things. And it's just a way to support them and help them be more successful in their education because they're able to get help or get relief from these other stressors in their life that may be impeding that.
In Iron County School District in 2018, they saw the need to increase mental health therapists in schools. And so they increased it so that we have at least a part-time person in every school. And I think the wellness rooms have come about from those individuals being in the schools as well and seeing a need for a place like that.
Douglas, TESSA, DOUGLAS, and in this capacity, I'm the Rotary Club President for Cedar City. The really amazing part is to see, hundreds, thousands of people are responding and supporting and loving and like building each other up, It's not like just the Rotary Club, right? And so, I don't know, that part's been pretty cool.
We've just seen an outpouring of so much help. The day of and the next day, just therapists from all over southern Utah came together and offered their volunteer services. And as a part of that, our counseling coordinator was able to put together a community crisis clinic where people throughout the community could have access to therapy services. And then we've had offers of free services. Our employment does through Tava Health. They do services as well for mental health, and they offered free services for employees who get those benefits, and then at a low cost for those who did not receive that benefit. As well as the Rotary has reached out and they want to provide materials for our wellness rooms.
The main point of Rotary is service, really. It's a service club. And that's one of the big reasons we felt we needed to do something in this case is because our organization has a lot more capacity than most to do good just because of the number of people involved and the number of fundraisers we do.
Tell me about your latest project with the wellness rooms.
So with the wellness rooms for the schools in the school district, that came about after, the tragedy that happened in Enoch. And we were looking at ways that we could help and support different groups that were affected, right? So we did a project for first responders and the different EMS agencies that were involved. And then we've got members of our club who are also professionals, in emergency response, in law enforcement. And we have members who are currently employed at the school district or who have been previously employed with the district or at the schools. And so we recognize that students, teachers, those individuals were heavily impacted by this tragedy. And so we went to the members of the club who are involved and said, what can we do? Because we want to do something, but we also want it to be meaningful and impactful. That's important, right? You don't just want to throw service at something or, money at something that's really not going to make a big difference or a big impact. And so we asked them to go back to the district, go back to the superintendent and find out, and to the teachers and find out what could really be helpful. And so they came back with a few different ideas. And one of those is that the wellness rooms that the schools already have could really use more supplies. And so our board actually voted to fund a pretty big donation to those just this week. And so we've made that donation to the district so that they can purchase additional supplies and equipment for those wellness rooms district-wide, wherever the need is within the district.
So that's within the whole district, not even just within the Enoch schools that were impacted.
Right. The funding has to be used for the wellness rooms, but we don't want to limit it to just, 3 schools because we don't know what students or what teachers maybe were impacted elsewhere who knew them as friends or even family members. It's such a small community, and really everybody was impacted in some way, whether you knew the family or not. Everybody has felt the heaviness of this tragedy. And so we want to let the school put the resources where they're needed, knowing that they'll help, a wider audience that way.
What was the reasoning when you talked with the whole group? What was the reasoning behind the decision to do wellness rooms as opposed to something else?
We made the decision to support the wellness rooms after working with the school district and asking what would be the greatest ongoing impact that we could make. Counselors are there. Counselors are meeting with students and teachers. We know that. We know people have brought, treats to the teachers in the classrooms and things like that. We really wanted to do something that would be long-lasting and impactful long-term because, the effects of this will last a long time. And frankly, just general student mental health, that's an ongoing issue anyway. So, this is a donation that should help for a long time, hopefully. So a lot of the things they asked for books, that are kind of like emotional regulation books, like My Mouth is a Volcano, When Sophie Gets Angry, The Invisible String, What Should Danny Do, What Should Darla Do, things about behavioral health probably, stress balls, fidget toys, sensory, related toys, squeeze toys, things like that. Monkey noodles, I don't know what those are, but bilateral tappers, so students can, tap and stuff and help reset their minds a little bit that way. Let's see, what else? Lots of sensory stuff is on here, lots of sensory toys. And then just little things like even, like a coat rack, like this is for a specific school. They want a coat rack and they want a small computer desk. So probably the school just hasn't had funding to put towards that, right? Because there's more immediate needs, but those would be nice things for them to have that really don't cost that much for us.
Right.
But for a school, when funding is so tight, probably they weren't able to do that. So most of the things that they've asked for are either books or sensory toys of some kind.
And how cool, like you were saying, to make something possible that, it doesn't seem like a ton of money on your part from a big organization, but for a school like that, just having a coat rack and having some books and the sensory toys, that can make a big difference to these kids' experience.
Yeah, because school budgets, they're so tight and they have to be so careful with what they allocate money to. And it's just never enough, So we're excited. We're excited to help however we can, really. But yeah, I think mental health and childhood health is a big deal to us. It's one of Rotary's pillars, right, is children's health. And so this fits right in with that.
So what type of an impact do you hope that these rooms will have, or that you think they'll have once you've given the donation and they're able to get what they need?
I know from talking to teachers and to Shauna at the school district, I know that these rooms have seen a big increase in use since the tragedy in Enoch. And so hopefully what this donation allows them to do is to have enough supplies to meet the demand of the kids that are using them. And hopefully if some of these things, are like you use it up and then run out like Play-Doh, right? Hopefully it means they've got all of the supplies that they need ongoing for a while, so that if they run out or some of it gets old or worn out, they're able to replace it, and just keep those supplies stocked. In times of tragedy, it's really easy to get really down and sad, because it is sad. It's horrific, right?
Yeah.
But I think one of the best ways to find peace in it, or to feel better about it, right, instead of just ruminating on how horrible it was, is to find ways to do good and to look for the good, right? You can do both. But I know once I felt, this is just me personally, once I felt like we as a club could actually do something, I started feeling more peaceful, like, okay, it's not just horribly tragic, it is, but at least there's some good that we can put forth as a result, Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Is that weird?
It's healing.
Yeah.
I think it's literally healing when you find ways to find solutions or to make things better, even though you can't fix what's happened, obviously. You're like,
Yeah,
how are we going to move forward? I think it literally heals people to find happiness, I guess.
I love what you just said. We can't fix it. We can't, right? Like,
yeah,
it'll take time for people to heal, but we can maybe offer some relief, offer some hope, offer some love, and that is healing. I love what you said, though, because that's 100% on.
have seen other things happen as well. I believe the Elks Lodge did a big fundraiser for the family and to help in those areas. And then there's just been people just doing kind things for the schools in a variety of ways, whether that's a box of donuts or just something saying, we're thinking of you. And we've just been overwhelmed by how wonderful the support has been. This is just a great community. You know, they just help one another and know that people are feeling the feels, you know, that they're really feeling this impact.
It's definitely a story that I think, I mean, obviously the community felt, but all of Utah, you know, for days after, I was actually working the night that we got the information, and for days after, people even reached out to me and said, I saw your name on this, how are you doing? And anyway, just everyone felt it, you know, and it's been kind of amazing to see everyone mourn for a community, and some people that didn't even know, you know, where Enoch was maybe before, mourning for them and caring for them. It's been really, really neat from a news perspective to see that all over.
And it down here, you know, it's a little smaller and it's just a very close-knit community. So many in the Iron County area knew this family, and just mourning that, you know, such a loss.
What resources are available within schools for students during this time, and then just generally?
So we do have a mental health therapist or counselor available at least part-time in every school. Like I said earlier, we have our wellness rooms, so that's a resource that we have. Counselors in elementary schools give weekly lessons to students, and those are about, you know, different character education type of things, and so that there is a help for them. Currently, the Board of Education is considering a curriculum for our middle schools and high schools that address social emotional learning as well as character education. So they're looking at adopting that curriculum in the next couple of months. And so those will be lessons that will be given in the high schools and the middle schools to students, and they're available to parents to review as well. Another thing is that we recently hired a coordinator for counselors, a counseling coordinator. And so he works with the different groups, the mental health therapists, the counselors, so that we have a coordinated effort across the school district in helping students. And so that there's awareness if there's something going on in one school where another school can maybe step in and help a little bit, then we have that available as well. I just want to reiterate again that we have been just so thankful for the support that's been given throughout the community. And I forgot one of my, for instances, Southern Utah University, we have a great working relationship with them, and they reached out and said, can we help you with our education students coming into your classrooms and helping out so that teachers can attend the funeral? And so we utilized that in those schools that were the most impacted. So whether it was just virtually or in person, all our teachers who wanted to access that were able to do so. And we couldn't have done that without the help from SUU and others who stepped up and said, we'll substitute, teach, and help out in that way. So just all the things, the therapists that have offered help, everybody, it's just been such an outpouring of heartfelt love and support.
Well, that's really sweet. I didn't know that.
That does it for us this week on KSL Plus. I'm Matt Rascone. I'll see you again next week.